around you, and to make that easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, we present Freshlight, where we bring fresh newspaper headlines to the limelight. Mondays to Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Watch, like, subscribe, and make sure your notification is activated on our YouTube channel. You can also like and comment on our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. It's another beautiful day. We're grateful for life and, of course, all goodness and everything we're enjoying. Because they say, we always say that when there is life, there is definitely hope. Good to have you watching live and watching our videos every time, every moment on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. So a beautiful morning to you once again, the 25th day in the month of July 2023. Welcome to Freshlight, a fresh episode. The second edition for the week on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. This is where we'll take you through different headlines and stories, we peruse different newspapers, and of course keep you updated on different happenings around you and even outside the country. My name is Modupe Akinyosoye. Welcome to Freshlight, and I have a couple of newspapers we made this morning. As always, I have the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, I have the Nation newspaper, I have the Vanguard newspaper and the Punch newspaper. Without further ado, kick-starting the review, we'll start with the Nigerian Tribune this morning. We get to see a couple of headlines on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. From the front page, you see the largest headline right here. How Tinubu can halt petrol pump price from eating 1,000 naira. Experts revealing that with a rider. Safe free market not synonymous with complete absence of regulation. The details of that on page 6 in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Away from that, you also get to see police arrest 4 suspects over attempted attack on Atiku's residence. And with a rider, also that on page 6 in the Nigerian page 8, I beg your pardon, in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Awolowo Dosumu to chair Odua's Investment Foundation Advisory Council with a rider. Page 4 captures the details of that very headline. Nigeria has disappointed itself, Africa and the world. That's not coming from me, that's coming from Obasanjo, and that's captured on page 18 in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Kwara governor approves 10,000 naira for workers, hazard allowances, and 100% conmess for doctors. Page 25 captures that palliative rollout. First female Yoruba professor Olutoye dies at 87. Tinubu pay tribute. Page 18 captures the details of that very story. Still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, representatives election. Tribunal sacks Labour Party's Okoli, declares Elumelu winner. Page 4 captures that. 4 injured as 2-story building collapses in Ibadan. The rather sad one on page 29 in the Nigerian Tribune. Representatives vow to recover over $9 billion gas flaring levy from IOCs and others. Page 4 captured the very headline. And also gory details of Ore petrol tanker explosion. The rather metro sad story on page 28 in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Also, you get to see a picture, the large picture, a protest rock Benin over hardship caused by petrol price hike. Page 25 captures the details of that very headline. Quickly going through a couple of headlines and stories in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. I will start with, we start with the Boston. Or breaking news right here, and the headline says, Joint Force bust unknown gunmen hideout, kills many in Anambra community. A joint operation by men of the Nigerian Army with Nigerian Hunters and Forest Security Service on Monday led to the death of many unknown gunmen who attempted to ambush the security men. The incident happened at Owoko community of Umiata, Anambra East local government And this is coming barely 48 hours after an operation by the NHFSS led to the death of scores of unknown gunmen at Umuem, Anam, same local government in Anambra State. And the operational officer in charge of Anambra East, CSO Chinedu Ojuku, said they had credible intelligence of the existence of a camp of the criminal element and their gruesome activities in the area, and therefore alerted the Nigerian army. Joint force bust unknown gunmen's hideout, kills many in Anambra community. Nigerian Tribune captures that. Away from that, TUC to federal government. Fast-track work on palliatives for suffering workers and masses. The Trade Union Congress, TUC, has asked the federal government to fast-track work on palliatives for Nigerian workers to cushion the economic effect of subsidy removal. And TUC urged the various committees put together during its discussion with the government to conclude its work in the next 2 weeks and submit their report for the Presidential Steering Committee to conclude its work immediately. President of the TUC, Festus Osifo, who briefed reporters on Monday in Abuja, noted that the federal government could not afford to speak grammar while the workers are suffering. The rest of that in the Nigerian Tribune. TUC to federal government, fast-track work on palliatives for suffering workers and masses. Also from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, experts, one petrol price could eat 1,000 naira per litre. The federal government has been urged to intervene in the foreign exchange market to contain the likely free fall of the naira. Is 1,000 naira per litre. Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Of course, that will be a sad one, a sad news for every Nigeria consuming petrol. Away from the Nigerian Tribune, let's move to the Punch newspaper to see the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning and to get to see what's trending on the front page of the Punch newspaper. From the front page this morning, on subsidy pain, Labour talks tough. ASU protesters condemn relief plans with double riders, and you get the details on page 2 in the Punch newspaper. Also from the front page, most Nigerian leaders' knowledge of development shallow. Most Nigerian leaders' knowledge of development shallow. That statement coming from Obasanjo, also resurfacing on the front page of the Punch newspaper, captured on page 7 in the Punch. On forex crisis, passengers groan as foreign airlines hike fares. You get that on page 19 in the Punch newspaper. Navy won't stop burning vessels ferrying stolen crude. You get that on page 12 in the Punch newspaper. Away from that, you also see supervisors, invigilators, I beg your pardon, selling WAEC questions online, arrested on trial. WAEC boss revealing that on page 3 in the Punch newspaper. And this rather sad headline right here on the front page of the Punch: pregnant women, children among Ondo tanker fire victims. Eyewitness, page 4 and 5, captures that metro story. 3 Osho students hospitalized as gunmen open fire on barber's shop. Page 5 captures that rather sad one as well. And also you get to see the large picture right here on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Civil society groups under the aegis of the Edo Civil Society organizations during the protest against the recent hike in pump price of petrol in Benin City, Edo State on Monday. That was yesterday. Going through the Punch newspaper this morning, let's get to see a couple of headlines and stories in the Punch newspaper. And we start with the subsidy pain. Labour talks tough. ASU protesters condemn relief plans. The groaning occasioned by the removal of the fuel subsidy grew louder on Monday as the Nigerian Labour Congress said it was ready to fight the economic pains and hardship caused by the federal government decision, and also university workers under the aegis of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, the University of Lagos chapter of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Congress of University Academics, and protesting members of the Edo Civil Society organizations lamented the subsidy removal and its attendant pains. The varsity unions decried the situation, saying the subsidy was unintelligently removed. The National Assistant Secretary, NLC Chris Onyeka, said the Central Working Committee of the Congress would hold an important meeting today and take a position. From the Punch newspaper, subsidy pain, Labour talks tough, ASU protesters condemn relief plans. Away from that to also the story from the Punch, federal government 1.3 trillion naira subsidy debt won't affect dividends, says NNPCL. The outstanding 1.3 trillion naira debt of the federal government to the Nigerian Petroleum Company Limited has nothing to do with the payment of dividend to the government, the NNPCL said on Thursday. In June this year, the National Oil Company revealed that it was expecting a refund of about 1.3 trillion naira from the federation account as debt by the federal government. And it disclosed this when the interagency committee constituted by President Bola Tinubu was set to commence sitting to resolve the lingering debt roll. From the business page of the Punch, federal government 1.3 trillion naira subsidy debt won't affect dividends, says NNPCL. Away from that, also to the story from the Punch on price fixing, POS operators risk 3 months imprisonment, says FCCPC. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has said point of sales operators called for price fixing risk 3 months jail term, and these as it issued a cease and desist order to POS operators from conduct that constitute an infringement of the law. POS operators under the umbrella of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents Nigeria fixed new prices for POS transactions on July 17. Price fixing, POS operators risk 3 months imprisonment, says FCCPC, the Punch newspaper captured. Away from that, let's move to another newspaper right here. Let's take the Nation newspaper. From the front page of the Nation newspaper, subsidy removal, more states roll out palliatives. You get that with a couple of riders, triple riders to be precise, and you get the details on page 4 in the Nation newspaper. Away from that, Tinubu will fix insecurity, says Akpabio with a rider. Page 2 captures the details. How we will end sit at home by state governors. Page 5 captures that with a rider. Resident doctors give conditions to halt plant strike. Page 6 capture the details. Tribunal sacks Delta Labour Party rep for Elumelu. Page 6 captures that very story. Foreign inflows rise by 70% in the second quarter. Page 5 captures the details of the business story. Why industries shun discos by experts. You get the reasons for that on page 4 in the Nation newspaper. Amnesty requests inquest into bodies for mass burial in Lagos. Page 25 captures that, and you get to see the big picture on the front page of the Nation newspaper of the Vice President Kashim Shettima and of course other members right there on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Quickly perusing the pages of the Nation newspaper this morning. We'll start with subsidy removal. More states roll out palliatives with triple riders. Kwara, Ogun, Imo, and our support for workers and citizens. Jigawa boosts farmers and others. Trade Union Congress seeks quick action. Chairman of Nigeria Governors Forum, Kwara State's Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak led the way yesterday as more governors rolled out plans to give succor to workers and others feeling the pinch of petrol subsidy removal. Abiodun sanctioned the payment of 10,000 naira additional salary and immediate promotion of workers and leave bonuses. Uzondima okayed the sale of food items at reduced prices to citizens. The state will increase the fleet of its mass transit buses. And last week, the National Economic Council, NEC, mandated governors to take charge of giving palliatives and prepare a register of the poor to facilitate conditional cash transfers. And they will also receive grains and fertilizers from the federal government's strategic reserves for distribution to their citizens. From the Nation newspaper on subsidy removal, more states roll out palliatives. Away from that, we also have, moving to Kano once again sit at home as Southeast stands still. Leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has asked those behind enforcing sit-at-home in the southeast region to stop the exercise. Kanu spoke through his lead counsel, Mike Zekome's son, in a video clip. According to Zekome, Kanu said he does not believe in the sit-at-home, insisting he could not be fighting for his people and at the same time shutting down their economy. Kanu once again sit at home as Southeast stands still. The Nation newspaper captures that very story. Away from the Nation newspaper, let's see the front page of the Vanguard newspaper before we round it up this morning of Freshlight. From the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, on ministerial list, anxiety as serving ex-governor and others pile pressure on Tinubu with several riders. You get that on page 5 in the Vanguard newspaper. Away from that, foreign investment in stock market falls 40.4% to 145.1 billion naira. That's on page 19 in the Vanguard newspaper. Disclose identities of hashtag EndSARS mass burial victims. Amnesty tells federal government. Page 13 captures the details of that. Tinubu not a magician. APC didn't promise overnight solution. Oshiomhole saying that on page 9 in the Vanguard newspaper. 4 arrested as Atiku hails operatives over 4 terror attack on residents. Page 13 captures the details. Our Nigerian leaders disappointed citizens, Africa, black race and the world. OBJ Obasanjo revealing that on page 15 in the Vanguard newspaper. Musk rebrands Twitter, replaces bird logo with X. You get that on page 29 in the Vanguard newspaper. Gas flaring, representatives to recover over $9 billion fined from oil companies. Page 8 captures the rather sad incident. Global principles for fair compensation for publishers by Google and Facebook launched. Page 8 captures that very story. A sport headline on the front page says Mbappe to earn 11.6 million euros a week. That's on page 38 in the Vanguard newspaper. And the large picture on the front page of the Vanguard is revealing the Speaker, House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, and also Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, and also First Vice President, National Association of Resident Doctors, NAD, Dr. Nnamdi Heruma, and during the meeting with leadership of National Association of Resident Doctors on their intended strike action by NAD at the National Assembly in Abuja yesterday. Quickly perusing the pages of the Vanguard newspaper before we go. We'll start with the ministerial list. Anxiety. Okay, we'll get the headline reviewing anxiety as serving ex-governors and others pile pressure on Tinubu. There is palpable anxiety in the ranks of some former and serving governors of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC and its leaders over the delay by President Bola Tinubu in releasing the final list of ministerial nominees. And there is also serious pressure on President Tinubu regarding the list. The president is under obligation based on constitutional provision to forward the list of ministerial nominees to the Senate within 60 days of his inauguration for screening and confirmation. From the Vanguard on the ministerial list, anxiety as serving ex-governors and others pile pressure on Tinubu. Away from that, we also get to see a statement credited to Obasanjo right here saying, our Nigerian leaders disappointed citizens, Africa, black race and world, with a writer says insecurity holding Nigeria down. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo said yesterday that Nigerian political leaders have disappointed Nigerians, Africa, the black race and the world for failing to make the nation the giant that everyone expected her to be. He spoke at the public presentation of a book titled Reclaiming the Jewelry of Africa, written by Dr. Olusegun Aganga, former Minister of Finance under former President Goodluck Jonathan. Chief Obasanjo said, and I quote, not long ago, I decided to have on record the experiences of some Nigerian ambassadors from independent today. The rest of that in the Vanguard newspaper. How Nigerian leaders disappointed citizens, Africa, black race and world, says Obasanjo. And this rather sad story that happened, incidents that happened. Pregnant woman, her 3 children and others die in Ondo tanker fire. Witnesses revealing that with the rider, FRAC confirms 8 persons burned to death. Fresh fact emerged yesterday on how a pregnant woman, her 3 children and others were burned to death after a tanker exploded at Ore in Odigbo local government area of Ondo State. The pregnant woman, her 3 children and 18 others said to be scooping fuel from the tanker, which crashed and spilled its contents, were reportedly involved in the incident. The driver of the tanker was said to have lost control after overspeeding and fell into a ditch on Showboy Road opposite Optima Fueling Station in Ore Sunday evening. The rest of our rather sad one from the Metro page of the Vanguard newspaper. Pregnant woman, her 3 children, others die in Ondo tanker fire. Witness revealing that. And rounding it up with the sports story from the Vanguard. FIFA Women's World Cup. We can beat Australia. Super Falcon Ajibade says. Super Falcons forward Rasheedat Ajibade has revealed that the team has all it takes to defeat co-host Australia when both sides meet on Thursday. And the Super Falcons drew their first Group B game against Canada on match day 1 of the tournament. On the other hand, Australia defeated the Republic of Ireland 1-0 to go to the top of the table. FIFA Women's World Cup. We can beat Australia. Super Falcon Ajibade reveals that from the Vanguard. And that will be all on Freshlight this morning on Al-IyamoyeTv and the radio. Thank you so much for always joining. Don't forget to